Whips aren't abusive, humans are. Let's talk about it. So bad. Hey guys, my name's Katie. Welcome to my channel, Horse Talk. If you're new here, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. My channel is all about having real conversations about topics that horse folks typically don't want to talk about. So if you have a comment to share and can do so in a mature and appropriate manner, go ahead and leave that down below. It can be about this video, it can be about a topic that you want to see discussed, anything. Let me know. I am here at Brandy's barn today to make this video. She has a bunch of different styles of riding crop, flags, lunge lines, things like that we can review. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to show you guys a bunch of tools. If you don't know who Brandy is, make sure you check out her channel, Versatile Horsemanship. She has a lot of good information on her channel, and I would really encourage you guys, if you want to further your horsemanship journey, to check out hers because she's a pretty awesome woman. All right, on to today's topic, whips. Why do we use them? How do we use them? Are they abuse? Let's get started. So I recently got a really annoying comment. I love opinions and I love comments as long as they're asking questions and as long as they make good common sense. And I'll even discuss things with people and have a great conversation so we can figure each other out. And I'm cool with that. But this comment was super annoying. So this person had said something rude, like, I'm an idiot or something like that. Fine. And I was like, oh, okay. Let's find out why. Well, the feedback back and forth wasn't going well, so I just kind of ended it there. And then the person asked me, do you use whips? And I said, I use a flag as an extension of my arm. So that person did not respond back to me, but went on to other comments and said, you shouldn't like her, she's abusive with whips, or she uses whips, they're abuse. Like there was no like conversation to back any of that up. And those are the kinds of things that I find super frustrating. And also in other videos where my daughter's been riding and she uses a crop or something like that, we get told whips are abuse. And I understand that whips are abusive in the wrong hands, and I understand that they can hurt because I've been hit with a crop before. It hurts, it doesn't feel good. Danny's gonna demonstrate how we use a flag. Okay, bring them on over here. Okay, we use flags typically. We do use crops sometimes, and we do use dressage whips sometimes. But this is an example of a horse who has a whip, crop, or a flag used on him, and he's not scared of it. So Danny's gonna give you a little demonstration. So as you can see, the flag's kind of hard to see because she's decided to grab a black flag with a black horse. Here, let's use this flag. People can see what we're doing. So as you can see, we really must abuse our horses lots with the flags because they're really scared of them. Really scared. He looks terrified to me. I don't know about you guys. That was sarcasm in case you didn't catch on. So when you use the flag, the crop, or the dressage whip, or any type of whip really, as an extension of your arm, this happens. So now, if Danny puts purpose behind the flag, let's watch and see what happens. And if you'll note, she didn't have to hit him or touch him with that flag at all. And he comes back through. But now, let's back it up. Send him, send him back. Not with the flag, just send him back. Send him back, backwards.
Oh, backwards?
Yeah, a little bit more, so we can stay in the frame. So now, all she has to do is lift her arm and let me get you on Danny a little bit here. All right, send him how you normally would. So she lifts her arm, he's ignoring her, so she's gonna follow through with the flag. And that's just a reminder, it's an extension of the arm to have him go. So we kind of doesn't have a lot of space right here where we're working, even though we have this giant arena. I decided to film right here because the lighting was good, so this is where we're at. But as you can see, flags and any other type of whip is not abusive if the tool is in the correct hands. All right, other types of crops and things that we ride with. So this right here is a dressage whip. It's pretty long, okay? And it's long because with a dressage whip, you want to be able to reach back and reach the hip. So if I have this crop, I can while I'm sitting on my horse, I can reach back and reach the horse's hip. So with a dressage whip, that's why you do that. It's, again, an extension of your leg or your arm, depending on what you're asking your horse to do with it. Or to clarify your leg cue, too. That can happen sometimes. But when I use one, I don't ever just sit there and like wail on my horse. Like, that's just not a thing. For me. Let me clarify, it's not a thing for me. Not saying there isn't idiots out there. Okay? These whips right here, they've got a little ball at the end. These a lot of people use for lesson kids, so that the lesson kid who doesn't know any better isn't whacking the horse hard. So there's this one. This one's kind of like a hollow pocket of air, and this one, yeah, is the same, but it's got a little like rattle to it. So these ones are just used as, again, a cue for the horse to clarify things for kids who are learning. If they can't get the horse to move forward because they're kicking and the horse is like, whatever, that doesn't mean anything to me, then you can use these in riding lessons, and they don't have that whip on the end that makes that snap feeling to the horse. It just reminds them, oh, that's what the kid wants. It wants me to go forward. Well, you're teaching the student to learn the proper leg cues, but if they're not strong enough, if their legs aren't long enough, there's a million different reasons why you would have lesson students or younger kids use these types. Okay, and then you have your standard crop with a little popper on the end. So if I hit myself with that, it stings a little, but it doesn't really hurt, and I'm a human. So like, horses have sensitive skin, but they have tough hides. So, I mean, it depends, again, on the person's hands and what you're doing with the horse. It depends on the person using the tool. Not everybody and not all whips are bad. Then you've got this guy. It's just got the rounded tip. Again, a little leather, slappy. It feels about the same as the other one. Yeah, so there's all different kinds of whips here and all different kinds of flags. There's this flag here. It's basically the same thing Danny was using, a little bit different shape of the flag. Then there's this guy. Again, it's just a dressage whip. It's just got like a little padded piece on the end. I'm not sure who made this one. I bet you Why Not made this one. So it's got a nice handle, thick handle, and then it's just got a little bumper on the end. Because this one's just again, it's not supposed to be used for hitting the horse. It's to be an extension of your leg or your arm, depending on what you're asking of the horse. Now, lunge whips. So they can be short, or they can be tall. This one doesn't even fit in the camera frame. And they have really long, oh gosh, the cat's gonna try to play it and I'm gonna crack it. They have really long things and they're used to make that cracking noise. So I'm not a fan of the lunge whip. I don't really lunge horses, we do groundwork. Not saying that I've never lunged a horse because, I've learned a lot over the years and I've learned which works best for me and my horses. But the lunge whip, what I find it most useful for is if you need to move a herd of horses and, the crack noise startles them, gets them to move forward and pay attention to what you're doing. Instead of running you over, you're not hitting the horse with it, but you make that cracking noise. I can't do it now. You make that cracking noise and it gets their attention. So yeah, there's lots of different types of lunging whips, and some are super long. Like I've seen ones that are like 6 feet tall. It's crazy. And for me, that's a lot to hang on to when I'm trying to work with a horse and pay attention to. And then you got your horse 50 miles away from you, and well, that's another video topic. But back to the whips, jockeys. So I know a ton of people have problems with jockeys in the racehorse industry with using crops. And so the jockey crops, if you've never seen one, they're similar to this, but they're thicker. They have a really thick handle on the end, and then this part, the leather strap, so the handle's pretty thick and the rod itself is pretty thick, and then the leather strap is longer. So this would actually be a lot longer, and then they use it. But when they're riding, okay, so let's think about this. These are the rules. These are the actual rules. Well, these are the Jockey Club rules. I don't know if they're all inclusive. So there's that. But you have to have your reins in one hand, and you have to whip backhanded while in stride with the horse. And on a flat race, for the entire race, you're only allowed to whip your horse 7 times. That's a lot to keep track of. Again, whips are abuse if they're in the wrong hands, but 7 times for an entire race. I think that, the horse racing industry is doing an okay job at working on these regulations, and there's always progress to be made with rules and regulations in any discipline. But I also think that we need to give some credit where credit is due, that they are continuing to find better ways to do things, and they're continuing to work towards doing things in a more humane way. So I think that the rules that the jockeys have are good. Are they perfect? Probably not. But again, it comes back down to the hands and the human are what cause the abuse in these situations. So I think that the more you tighten up the rules and regulations that are put onto, say, jockeys, the better it's going to be. Now, my bigger issue, there isn't as many rules and regulations on the use of the crop for, say, jumping. Those people jumping those horses can cause the same abuse, yet they don't have rules and regulations on how they use their crop that I'm aware of. If I'm wrong, please comment down below because I'm not sure. So this is based on my actual life experience. I was recently at a jump show that I was watching, and this woman who was a complete, had I been down in that arena, I probably would have had a really hard time not going up to her and having a really strong conversation about how she was treating her animal. She literally had zero horsemanship. This woman goes up to a jump with her horse, right? The horse refuses. And she goes around, starts beating the piss out of her horse with a crop. Goes back to the jump. He refused again. So she was dismissed from the class. Instead of actually leaving the class like she was supposed to and being done with it, she walks her horse. Now just picture this in your mind, okay? She walks her horse up to the jump, holds her horse so it can't go forward. She wants it to stand still, and starts beating it with the crop. So she's pissed off that her horse won't go over the jump, but she's creating an environment for her horse where why would it want to? If you're making your horse stand in front of a jump and beating the crap out of it with a whip, why in God's name would it ever want to go near a jump again? So this is one of the reasons why I say horse people suck. Like, that is a complete lack of horsemanship and a complete lack of understanding. And it's people like that that give the disciplines a bad name. So I would encourage you, because like I said, I was in a big coliseum. Had I been down there or one of the participants, I guarantee you I would have gone up to that woman and had a real conversation with her about what she was doing with her animal, because that was bad. And again, that's a total lack of horsemanship. There's no common sense tied into that at all. There's no horsemanship tied into that at all. That is just a human being an ass. So it's not just with racehorses. It's all disciplines. We could talk, there's so much I could talk about with that. But anyway, whips are abuse in the wrong hands. I could hit my horse like this with it, and that's just gonna say, oh, reminder, you're supposed to move your hip that way, or oh, reminder, I need you to go forward, okay? If I just tap my horse, tap, 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 tap. Now if I hit my horse, that stings. That stings, I'm not gonna lie. There's a difference. Before you accuse anyone of anything, get your facts straight, ask them questions, and make observations. Because you know what you get when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. And I didn't like being made an ass out of because I don't hit my horse with whips. So there. In conclusion, there is abuse with whips in every equine discipline. And unless you ask questions, make observations, and find out what's really going on with somebody, you should not make assumptions or comment things that aren't true on the internet, especially. Also, there are people out there performing studies. They are doing research. They're trying to make things better. We need to give credit to those people, and we need to remember and not be so narrow-minded about one particular thing. You cannot say all whips are abuse. I feel like a teacher or like a music conductor. Anyway, you cannot say that all whips are abuse, and you cannot say that every person who owns a whip or uses a whip abuses horses, because it's not true. It's not true. So guys, that was my video for today. Thanks for watching. Make sure you leave your opinion down below in the comment and let me know what you think. Let me know what you've seen. Let's talk about it. Like, let's get real information out there for people. I want to know how you use your whips, crops, flags, whatever it is you use. Let's talk about it. Tell me how you use it and why. Also, let me know in the comments down below if you have a discussion idea. Thanks for watching. This cat looks like a giant ball of flute. You cannot say that every person who owns a whip or uses a whip abuses horses. It depends again on the person's hands and what they're doing with the horse. Like,